Have you ever thought about how one person's betrayal could change the entire course of history? What if Voldemort's rise to power depended not on his own abilities, but on the cowardice of a single wizard? In today's video, you will find out why Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter became a traitor and what happened to him. Few characters in Harry Potter are as despised as Peter Pettigrew. Unlike other villains who at least had their reasons, however twisted, for choosing the dark side, Peter was different. He started as a friend, as one of the good guys, yet betrayed everyone who trusted him, and his betrayal led to the greatest tragedy of the wizarding world. From the moment he stepped into Hogwarts, something felt off. Gryffindor was the house of bravery, yet Peter was neither brave nor strong. He was weak, always clinging to those more powerful than him. That's how he became part of the Marauders, James Potter, Sirius Black, and Remus Lupin. But was he ever really one of them? James was indifferent to Peter, treating him like a harmless tag-along. Sirius, however, despised him. He mocked him, belittled him, and never saw him as an equal. Peter smiled, laughed along, but deep inside resentment was growing, resentment that would one day lead to the ultimate betrayal. When Voldemort's war began, the Marauders stood against him. At first, so did Peter, but deep down he had always craved power, and who could offer more power than the Dark Lord himself? Perhaps it wasn't just fear that made him switch sides. Perhaps after years of being the weakling, Peter finally saw a chance to matter. To prove his loyalty to Voldemort, he did the unthinkable. He became the secret keeper for the Potters' hiding place. Instead of protecting them, he led the Dark Lord straight to them. And just like that, James and Lily Potter were gone. But Peter wasn't finished yet. When Sirius confronted him, he played his final trick, framing Sirius for the betrayal. In a single moment, he killed 12 innocent people, faked his own death, and left Sirius to rot in Azkaban, the perfect crime. For 12 years he lived in hiding as a rat, not just figuratively, literally. Disguised as Ron Weasley's pet, he avoided capture, unnoticed and forgotten. But fate had other plans. A single photograph in a newspaper gave him away. Sirius, locked in Azkaban, saw the image and knew the truth. Sirius escaped. He found Peter. And in a tense confrontation, the truth was finally revealed. Yet, in a twist of irony, it was Harry Potter who spared Peter's life, a decision that would later cost the wizarding world dearly. Peter fled once again, but this time he had only one place left to go. He sought out his old master Voldemort. Weak and powerless, the Dark Lord needed Peter just as much as Peter needed him. Together they began the dark ritual that would bring Voldemort back. Peter paid a heavy price for his loyalty. He sacrificed his own hand in the resurrection ritual, earning a new magical silver one from Voldemort. But loyalty meant nothing to the Dark Lord. Peter was no longer useful. He became nothing more than a servant, given only the most degrading tasks. His final moments were as pathetic as the life he had lived. When he hesitated to kill Harry just for a second, his own enchanted hand, gifted by Voldemort, turned against him. It strangled him where he stood, punishing him for his moment of weakness. Peter Pettigrew died the way he had lived, powerless and alone. In the movies, this moment was erased. But in the books it was the perfect ending for a man whose betrayals shaped the fate of the wizarding world. The Sorting Hat rarely makes mistakes, but placing Peter Pettigrew in Gryffindor still baffles many Harry Potter fans. Gryffindor is the house of courage, bravery, and strength of heart. Yet Peter was a coward, a traitor, a man who spent half his life hiding as a rat. So why did the Hat choose him? Was there a hidden bravery within him that no one noticed? Or was this a rare case of the hat getting it wrong? When Peter first sat under the sorting hat, it hesitated. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, we see that the hat considers different options for students. It debated whether Harry belonged in Slytherin. It took its time with Neville Longbottom, almost placing him in Hufflepuff. Could the same have happened with Peter? Maybe it saw something in him, something he himself didn't yet understand. At Hogwarts, Peter attached himself to James Potter, Sirius Black, and Remus Lupin. They were everything he wasn't: charismatic, talented, powerful. He followed them, laughed at their jokes, did whatever they said. But maybe that in itself was a form of bravery. He was willing to stand next to the strongest, even if it meant being their shadow. There's one moment in The Prisoner of Azkaban that might explain why Peter was in Gryffindor. When Remus and Sirius confront him, he shrinks back, pleading for his life. But then Sirius shouts, "Then you should have died rather than betray your friends as we would have done for you." That line reveals the true measure of Gryffindor courage, choosing loyalty over survival. Peter, in that moment, proves why he didn't belong. Yet he wasn't always a coward. He became an animagus, something only the most determined wizards could do. He learned to transform into a rat, mastering the skill alongside James and Sirius. The Marauders didn't baby him, he had to keep up. It required intelligence, persistence, and yes, courage. Years later, he did something no other Death Eater dared to do. When Voldemort was at his weakest, abandoned by his own followers, Peter went to find him. He lived in hiding for 12 years, but the moment he heard whispers of the Dark Lord's possible return, he acted. He found Voldemort in Albania, nursed him back to strength, and helped him rise again. That took a twisted kind of bravery, one driven by desperation, but bravery nonetheless. Even his final moments held a cruel irony. The silver hand that Voldemort gifted him turned against him. It choked him to death when he hesitated to kill Harry. For a brief second he showed mercy, and that cost him his life. It was a coward's death, but was it a coward's hesitation? Maybe, for once, Gryffindor's values stirred inside him. The sorting hat doesn't judge on personality alone. It sees potential. Peter, at 11 years old, wasn't a traitor yet. He wasn't a killer. Maybe, in a different life, he could have lived up to Gryffindor's ideals. Maybe he could have been brave in the right way. But fear won in the end. Dumbledore once said, "It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." Peter had the ability to be brave. He just never chose to be. Gryffindor gave him a chance. He never took it.